Hey there. So last year I shared 40 thoughts on life as I turned 40, and I had the idea that it might be a good idea to continue that with subsequent birthdays and add and append to the list. So I'm here to share a 41st thought with you as I enter my 41st lap around the sun. So society creates boxes for people. We create boxes for ourselves. And as time goes on, I feel like I've become a lot more aware of these boxes and have been doing a lot of work to redesign and or reject most of these boxes. And I think that a lot of this originates from the fact that we are narrative creatures, right? We tell ourselves stories and we say, this is how the world is, this is how we are. And I think a lot of times we end up telling ourselves really self limiting stories in order to better fit into boxes. As a musician, I hear from so many people, they say, oh, I used to play music. And that's a story we tell ourselves, right? I used to play music, or I can't insert anything, right? Skill, job, whatever. I can't is something that pops up pretty regularly in everyone's minds. And that's also a story that we tell ourselves. Or I need to get a real job in order to be successful is a story we tell ourselves. Or that's just how it is a story we tell ourselves. Or I'll be happy when I accomplish this thing or get this thing or whatever is a story we tell ourselves. And what's interesting is because the mind is the originator of everything, these stories that we tell ourselves end up becoming self-fulfilling prophecies. If you tell yourself you don't play music anymore, well, the chances are you're not going to play music anymore. If you tell yourself you can't learn something or do something, then chances are you're not going to learn or do that thing. And if you tell yourself that your dream is too ambitious or unrealistic or too big, then chances are it won't come true. And you won't take those steps to pursue it. I think that where I've gotten to with all of this is that nearly all of these boxes, what we do for work, what we do for life, how our relationships are supposed to be, how we spend our time, all of these things, or so many of them, are social constructs. These things just exist because these are stories that we either tell ourselves personally or at a societal level. Too often, we make ourselves smaller in order to fit into these boxes. And making ourselves smaller in this way really involves lopping off important parts of who we are. And that has real consequences, right? In order to fit this job's shaped box, right, I have to lop off these other important talents or skills or parts of my human experience in order to better fit into this box. And I think that this is the thing that I'm picking at. That process of making ourselves smaller in order to fit into boxes is what leads to unfulfillment, disillusion, and just this really hollow or one-dimensional life, right? Because we're not showing up as our full and rich selves. We are instead allowing ourselves to show up in as only one dimension of ourselves in order to fit the box. So the question that I've been asking is, how can we reconsider and redesign these boxes, or maybe even remove them altogether? Because I truly believe that we're so much bigger than the boxes that society has established and that our negative self-talk has helped define. There's this really great line by Walt Whitman says, I am large, I contain multitudes. And I freaking love that. I love that. We're full of all sorts of things. We're this and we're that. We're full of contradictions. We're full of many different ambitions, and there's many different dimensions to ourselves. And so that's kind of the journey that I've been on, is trying to reframe or expand or remove the boxes that surround us. And by reevaluating these boxes, we're able to show up and operate as more of our full selves, and we're able to give ourselves permission to explore and invent and to chart our own destiny, right? And that's risky. We cling to these boxes because they're defined, they're known, they're safe, right? And so we cling to them. And by letting go of those boxes is it's super risky. But what it also does is liberates you, right, to shape your own path, to really rely on yourself and your talents and your skills and your potential. It's a very strange thing because it's hard, but also the reward is great because you're able to live more authentically. You're able to show up to more things as your full self. So these are the ideas that I've been picking at for a while. And so the questions I'll leave you with are what are the stories you're telling yourself, right? What are the boxes you're trying to fit into? And by way of trying to fit into those smaller boxes, do you feel like you're leaving parts of you behind? And if so, what aspects of these boxes should be reconsidered or redesigned or removed in order to help you live a fuller life? I don't want you to cut important parts of yourself off just to live life. So, how might you re examine, reevaluate, or maybe even reject some of these boxes that we operate in order to be your full self?